Do you love going to Broadway shows, but can't go now because Broadway's closed? Join tour guide Tim and Belasco too as they bring Broadway history to you. Grab your Broadway passport for what's in store on your Virtual Broadway Tour.
Looking at the Hudson Theatre today and comparing it with a photo from opening night in 1903, at first glance you wouldn't notice that many differences. But if you look closely, you'll notice at the very top of the theatre in the photo there's a flagpole. To celebrate the opening of the building, midway through construction, it's March 30th, 1903. A crowd gathered below on the sidewalk in front of the theatre, and in front of them, two ridiculously tall ladders had been leaned against the building from the sidewalk all the way to the roof. And in front of the crowd, actors Alice Fisher and Robert Edison climb all the way to the top. And when they get there, Alice takes a champagne bottle, cracks it across the side of the flagpole, and Robert, next to her, pulls the ropes, and up top, a beautiful white flag unfurls. And as it unfurls, Alice yells out to the crowd below, "I christen thee Hudson," and it was officially named for the nearby Hudson River. The original owners of the Hudson Theatre were Henry and Renee Harris, and while they owned 3 Broadway theaters, the Hudson Theatre was by far their pride and joy. By 1912, they had had a number of bad business dealings, and so they went to London in search of a new hit show. After signing some contracts there, they booked 2 tickets for their return passage on April 10th, 1912. Unfortunately for them, they picked the maiden voyage of a brand new ship called the Titanic. After 4 days of hobnobbing with all the other first-class passengers, it was that fateful Sunday night where the ship struck the iceberg. And amid all of the chaos, they made a pact that they would somehow try to stay together. Finally, they made the inevitable choice that Renee would step into a lifeboat by herself with the policy of women and children first. She steps into what was the last lifeboat deployed down the side of the ship, and as it rode away, she watched her husband go down with the ship. When she returned to New York, she inherited everything, and she became the first female theater owner in Broadway history and the first female producer in Broadway history. The original budget for the Hudson Theatre set by the Harrises was $250,000. In today's money, it's almost $8 million. The opening production was a show called Cousin Kate starring actress Ethel Barrymore. And the New York Times, when they went to review the show, also critiqued this brand new beautiful theater. When they walked up to the facade, they commented that it felt pretty plain. Where did all of this money go? And when they walked through the doors with all the other opening night theater goers, they got their answer. Most of it went to the lobby. Now, anyone who walks into the Hudson today, you'll see remnants of this original lobby. It's 264 coffers inset into the ceiling with what is now 2 beautiful chandeliers. What was so awe-inspiring about the ceiling originally? Every single one of those coffers had a light bulb. 264 light bulbs. Now, we'd only got electricity about 8 years before in Times Square. So to see any light bulbs in a public building was rare. But to see 264, well, it was so rare, they took a picture of it. Check it out. Anyone looking at the facade of the Hudson Theatre can get a glimpse at one of the remnants of my favorite part of the building, the apartments upstairs. The Harrises originally built 8 bedrooms and 4 baths on the top 2 floors of the building as living quarters and offices for themselves. When Henry went down on the Titanic, Renee decided she didn't want to spend as much time in the building, and so the lease traded hands many times over the next couple decades. Which takes us to 1942, when the Breen family moves in. Theatrical producer Robert Breen moved in with his wife Wilva and their 2 children. How long did they stay? Till 1992. Yes, 50 years. Now in 1992, fire code laws had changed at that point, and it's been condemned. But when we opened a tour of the Hudson Theatre in October 2019, I was given a rare sneak peek into what the apartment looks like today. Check it out. Hello! Hello, welcome to the Saturday Night on Broadway series here at Broadway Up Close as part of our Virtual Broadway Tour Series. Each week we'll be coming to you live with someone who has worked at the theater that we're featuring that week. And this week, for our first episode, we have the amazing Amber Art-elise. For those that aren't familiar with Broadway Up Close, my name is Tim Dolan, and I'm an actor and the owner of Broadway Up Close Walking Tours in NYC. For the last 10 years, our tours have unearthed secrets, fun facts, ghost stories, and history from the 41 Broadway theaters. I have an entire team that I call my green team, made up of actors and stage managers who are your guides. And we expanded last year when we opened our gift shop in Times Square with the 6-foot-tall Broadway sign that you may have seen currently stationed in front of the Lion King at 45th Street. In addition to the 5 exterior tours that we've been doing for the last about 10 years, this past fall we opened our first interior tour, which is inside of all theaters, Broadway's oldest, the Hudson, which makes today pretty perfect. I have to say, I never envisioned a version of New York City without Broadway. I initially didn't think the shutdown was going to last this long. I thought maybe like a couple of weeks we'll be like without shows, and then we'll go on about our lives and we'll be like, oh yeah, remember those couple of weeks? 2 months in, I started to really miss connecting with theater goers, talking about theater, touring with our guests in Times Square. So over the last month, I've been working my butt off to bring you some of those stories virtually in fun videos. 41 theaters, 41 weeks. I'm insane, but like, if you know me, that's nothing new in my life. We're going to start with the oldest because I like things in chronological order, and then we're going to move forward in time. So by the end of the 41 weeks, which will bring us to about March of 2021, when hopefully Broadway is back open for all of our sakes, we will finish with the Stephen Sondheim, quote unquote, the newest Broadway theater. I hope this entire week, in our first week, you've enjoyed our history fun facts that we've been dropping to you every day. You've been pretty vocal on our social media, which makes my heart happy. I love that. So in our intro video, if you watched it, I promised you that our French Bulldog, Belasco, who's named after my favorite Broadway theater, because I'm insane, I said he would come along for the ride. He is wandering around my apartment somewhere. He just went to the kitchen to get water. So he's nailing this whole live thing. So welcome to my life, working with children and dogs. It's going so well. And he'll be around. If he comes near me, we'll have him say hi. How is tonight going to work? For tonight's series, we'll learn all about Amber's theatrical journey and her time working at the Hudson Theatre, where she did Head Over Heels. If you have any questions for her or me along the way, drop it in the comments. It'll pop up on my screen. Maybe we'll feature you. We'll throw your comment to her, your question to her, and we'll go from there. For those that are joining us live, if you have a second, comment. Let us know where you're watching us from so I can say hi and see who I'm talking to, because right now it feels like I'm just talking to a screen. And so, without further ado, our first Saturday Night on Broadway guest, Amber Art-elise.
Whoa! Hey, Tim.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, here we are. What's going on?
Oh, hi, here we are.
I'm so good.
Living our virtual lives. How are you doing?
My head. I'm good. Got my
wait.
up.
Is this always there, or this was just?
It's always there.
That always lives there. That's not just for me.
No, it's made it for the video. Of course, had to put myself over here. But my mom is like such a dork and wants posters of every single musical I've been in. So my childhood bedroom has turned into like an homage of like shows that I've done. So yeah, so that's right. So anyways, Head Over Heels.
That feels about right.
Yeah, as mothers do. You know?
I love that story. I love that. Yeah. That sounds exactly like my parents. Okay, so tell us, for those that don't know you or aren't lucky enough to know you, will you tell us about your life? Tell us about like where you started, where you're from, if you went to school, first shows, first time being exposed to theater, first time maybe seeing a Broadway show. And talk us to like everything in life that got you through to summer solstice, June 20th, 2020, in about 3 minutes of my life and time. Go.
Great. Okay.
Good luck.
brings out the paper.
Right.
So I grew up in Fonville, Pennsylvania, little town in the middle of nowhere, which being back here now, I'm like, wow, I grew up here. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Sure.
kind of strange.
Mhm.
So I grew up in a small town of Fonville. I started dancing in a studio when I was 3 years old.
Great.
I started taking singing lessons when I was like 13 years old, and acting lessons. And as I was like getting into high school, this performing arts high school opened up called Lincoln Park. And I decided to go and study musical theater there. I drove an hour every day to go to school. And I would do
Really?
school half the day, and then arts classes the second half of the day. So
And how
that was
many
my life.
people, like in a class like that, how many people would have been like in your grade?
There was like 25 people in my musical theater group, and they had musical theater, dance, videography, like different studies. So our graduating class was probably under 100. So there was like not a lot of people that were there. Yeah.
And
so,
you're like one of the first classes to do this in this specific program?
Yeah, in this area. I mean, this was like the first performing arts high school of its kind. So as soon as I heard that they were doing that, I was like, let me get on it.
Yeah.
Because I knew I wanted to be a performer since, forever.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, so after I went to high school to study musical theater, my parents forced me to college for 1 year. And he said, "You're going," and I said, "I'm not going to college. I'm going straight to New York. I just want to do it." So all throughout my first year of college, I was like sneaking away from my classes to go audition for things. So I went and did the Glee project at Syracuse. I was going to Syracuse at the time, and I snuck away to do the Glee project. And then I snuck away to audition for the West Side Story National Tour. I told my professors I had to go home for the weekend, and I just took a mega bus. I was like 18. I took a mega bus to the city. Yeah. Didn't tell my parents, took a bus to the city, auditioned for the West Side Story National Tour, and then I ended up booking that, and that was my first audition in the city.
Like what?
It was it was like not, I was meant to be. I was not meant to go to.
You're like, what do you mean this is hard? What do you mean Broadway's hard?
Not that, but I just
sure. Yeah.
I just couldn't, I didn't want to go to college, and I was like, this is my sign that I am literally just meant to be auditioning in New York City. So I booked the West Side Tour. I say I got my degree on the West Side, and that was my first show.
How long was that tour?
That was a year long. And then as soon as I finished up with that tour, I went back to the city, and I auditioned for my next show, which was Legally Blonde. And that was, I was on Norwegian Cruise Line. So I was in Germany for a couple months. And then I went and did Legally Blonde in Norwegian, and it was the best job because I was like on a beach every other day. I loved that job. It was like so great. I saved all this money. Anyways,
that was I also worked Norwegian. Was my first job out of college. I was a singer for 6 months, and I was like, what do you mean you're going to like pay me like all the money and eat lobster and I like sing every couple minutes, but otherwise I just lay on a beach? You're like, this is so hard, you guys. Life is so hard.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you meet people from all around the world. It was like incredible. So that was like a really fun show to do next. And then after Legally Blonde, I came back to the city. My next audition was Flashdance, the national tour, and I ended up getting that. And then I went on the road again for another year. So I have been, this is from 18 to like 20 years old that I've been just straight touring.
Okay.
After Flashdance, my show's in order. After Flashdance, I came back to the city, and I was dying to do the show Rock of Ages. I don't know if you...
Yep,
oh my God. Mm-hmm. It's my favorite musical of all time. I don't know if anyone
I think I hated on it. I think I hated on it for like a minute because I was like, jukebox musical, like, haven't we already done this? And my dad was like, I love those songs. And I was like, we'll go. And we sat at the Brooks Atkinson. We sat like third row. We got nice tickets because parents are here. And I like blew my mind. I was like, this is like the funniest, similar to what we'll talk about later, which is Head Over Heels, where I was like, this is so funny. The music, it's like, we all know it and it's so good. You're like, it works perfectly. Maybe Head Over Heels, it didn't work for as long. But Rock of Ages. Yeah. Okay. So you're obsessed. Then what happens?
I was obsessed. I auditioned for Rock of Ages. I found out that day that I had booked the job, and they flew me to Vegas 2 days later. So I ended up in Vegas doing Rock of Ages for a year. And it was like the dream job. I was 21, moved to Vegas. What a shit show. What a show.
No, it's okay. I think we're allowed to, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we're allowed to swear. I think we'll be fine.
Great. It was a shit show. So anyways, but it was super fun. And I loved doing that show so much. And I ended up taking over for the lead role in Rock of Ages.
As you do.
So I started off as a swing, and then like halfway through, I got bumped up to Sherry. So I started doing Sherry, and it was great.
And for our people in the universe who don't follow Broadway up close or have never been on a tour and don't know what a swing is someone who covers multiple tracks or multiple parts in a show, who at a moment's notice, they're like, you're on for, waitress one. And you're like, all right. And every harmony and every vocal track and everything. And you are amazing and know multiple things. And it's a crazy life. Okay. So you go from swing and they're like, you had understudied Sherry and they're like, maybe do that. You were like, all right.
Yeah. They basically sat me down one day and they said, hey, how do you feel about taking over for Sherry? And I was like, are you joking? Yes. Get these 10 tracks out of my head. I want to just do one track.
You were like, maybe just do the same thing every night? Sure.
Yeah. Take a break.
And so, okay, let's pause because if anyone knows Rock of Ages, it's an insane vocal show. But if anyone knows West Side Story, which if you're watching this video and you don't know West Side Story, just exit stage right. West Side Story is a crazy dance show. So obviously you went to musical theater in high school and started doing the foundation. College, you did a little bit of that. But so you consider yourself, as far as performer goes, of this like idea of like a triple threat. It's like you can sing, you can dance, you feel comfortable in all of those mediums. So something like Sherry, after having done West Side Story, wasn't like daunting or insane or crazy.
No, well, it's crazy in its own way because I think every show is its own beast in a type of way. Like Sherry was hard because it was like that screamo rock music that you were singing every night. Yeah. And you've really got to like prepare your vocal cords for that type of thing. So like, jumping, we'll get to Hamilton, but I really had to train my body for these shows in different types of ways, vocally, dance-wise, acting-wise, even just to not be doing the same show every single night. Right. But yeah, it's really, they're all beasts in their own way, and how to get through them really, crazy. You have to set like a regimen for yourself.
100%. Yeah. Okay. So then Rock of Ages. Okay. Then fast forward in life to what's your Broadway debut?
So after Rock of Ages, my agent called me, and I had broken my ankle. Okay, no, I'd sprained my ankle one night in Rock of Ages, and I was out of the show for it was like a week at that point. And my agent calls me and he goes, Amber, I know you're broken right now, but I've got you an audition for Hamilton and you must go. And I was like, Todd, I'm broken. I actually cannot go. And he was like, what are the odds? Like, you can kind of put weight on it. My agent's trying to get me to go to this audition, which I would later find will be my first Broadway show. But I sucked it up. I taped my ankle so I couldn't feel it.
What?
I stuck 4 socks on my ankle, put a tennis shoe, a sneaker on. I had an ace bandage on. I wrapped myself up, and I went to this Hamilton audition. And I ended up going to LA. So I flew from Vegas. I drove from Vegas to LA to audition for Hamilton. And I went to this audition with a sprained ankle. And I can't even tell, hours worth of callbacks at this audition.
Just dying.
On a sprained ankle. Dying. Inside, texting my agent,
you're like, if I don't get this. Right, exactly. You're like, it was so nice knowing you. Thank you for representing me. Bye.
Yeah, basically. So anyways, so I end up, after so many auditions, they fly me to New York. I go to New York. My Rock of Ages contract's up. I go to New York. I audition for Hamilton. More callbacks and auditions, which just if you've ever auditioned for a Broadway show, they put you through a boot camp because they want to make sure going into the show that you are going to be able to do each type of dance, be able to sing every song vocally, every part. And then also they want to see if you can cover lead parts.
Right.
So not only are you auditioning for your ensemble spot, but you have to be good at a principal role as well, especially in Hamilton, because everybody covered someone in that show.
They're like, you have to be perfect at everything. And you were like, All right, I got this.
Settle
You're
down.
like, maybe a
calm
sprained
down.
ankle, but I got this. Crazy.
So
Okay,
anyway.
so you do that and it goes well, and you're
It
Hamilton,
goes well.
and life
Yeah.
is great. Okay.
I do Hamilton. Hamilton is my, I go to Chicago and I do Hamilton, and then they transfer me to New York, and then I make my Broadway debut in Hamilton.
Crazy.
So it was the best Broadway debut to ever make. It was amazing.
And do you still
incredible.
remember, like, when people say, like, oh, I remember, do you, having done the show previous, was opening night here in New York still exciting and magical and like what you dream of as a child growing up?
Yeah.
Like, was it all the things?
It was all of those things and
Great.
more, and I blacked out. Like, I really couldn't even tell you what I did on that stage. Like, I remember talking to the dance captain afterwards, and she's like, "Did you know you like threw that step in there?" I was like, "Nope, I didn't."
You were like, I don't know where I am right
didn't.
now. I'm floating 7 feet above the Richard Rodgers.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So basically, it was crazy. It was awesome. I had family and friends in the audience for my debut night, and it was just super magical.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay, so then where does Head Over Heels come into the world?
So now Head Over Heels comes in hot. What happened with Head Over Heels was this is before I was making my debut in New York City. My friend that was in Hamilton with me, she was leaving Hamilton to do this show called Head Over Heels. And I was like, oh, that's going to be so fun for you. Congratulations. She calls me up one night and she says, hi, the choreographer just called me and asked me if I know any like brunette, like long-legged girls that can like dance and like kick their face. And I was like, okay. So thank you for calling.
Yeah, hi.
Hello. And she basically said, I'm going to come over. I'm going to teach you the dance right now, and we're going to send in this video to the choreographer tonight. And that's going to be your audition for this Head Over Heels on Broadway. And I was like, you're crazy. Okay, let's do it.
And this choreographer is Spencer Liff, who ends up doing the show.
Spencer Liff.
Is
Yes.
With the show. Okay, great.
Yeah. So I learned the dance. We send in the dance, and basically they were like, great. Okay, we're going to have final callbacks in the city. We'd love for you to be there. I'm like, okay, great. The final callback comes, and I am on vacation at that point.
No.
So I can't make it to the final callback. I called them. I said, I'm so sorry. It's just not meant to be. Thank you for considering me for this show. Bye.
And they were like, wait.
So they do their final callback. They see all of these girls. They bring all these girls in, and the choreographer, I guess, just wasn't finding what he needed in the room. So he calls me up. I'm in Mexico, and I had to go buy Wi-Fi at like an internet cafe. I was like in an internet cafe because I was getting a text through my agent was texting me somehow. I don't know, but he was like, "Get to internet now! I need you to find internet." I'm like,
what?
Okay.
And this is the same agent who you're still with post sprained ankle Hamilton. We've kept him around.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
You know
All right.
what?
Okay, good.
I've kept him around
He's
for a
like
long
very
time.
demanding. You're like, sir, now I have to find Wi-Fi. You're like, I'm drinking on a beach. But okay, sure. So you put the drink down, you find Wi-Fi, then what happens?
So I go find Wi-Fi, and he's like, the choreographer is going to call you right now. Like just wait for his call. I'm like, okay. The choreographer calls me. He goes, hi, I'm going out on a limb. This is Spencer. He's like, I'm going out on a limb here. But we're going to hire you for this job off of your tape. And I was like, shut up. Like, you're lying. He was like, yeah. He's like, believe me, this is weird for me too. Like, I know we've never met, and I know, like, I haven't seen you in person, but off of your video, I can feel that you would be right for this show. And I want to offer you one of the spots in the ensemble and to cover Mopsa. And I was like,
crazy.
Oh my God, okay, let's do it. So I was so excited. And then I went to Head Over Heels. And as I was doing Head Over Heels, I was learning Head Over Heels during the day and doing Hamilton at night. So I was still doing Hamilton in New York at this point in time. So I would go learn Head Over Heels all day, and then I'd go do Hamilton. And then finally, when Head Over Heels moved into the Hudson, I just went there full time. So I was doing that.
Crazy. And for those who
night.
don't know, that like 2 schedule situation, that's called double duty. If you want to like inside speak, where you're rehearsing one show during the day in a workshop session and then another show happens at night. That's crazy. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So then
then
you're at the Hudson. Okay. So that brings us to like what we've been talking about all week, which is the Hudson, the oldest Broadway theater. It's very fancy. Do you have any like specific memories or things that stick out about the theater, about working there, about, I guess just in general, your time there?
Yeah, I love the Hudson so much. It is my favorite theater. And because immediately when I walked into that theater, the security guards, the ushers, the staff, the people that are running that theater, that are keeping it open every night, made us feel like family as soon as we walked in that building.
Yeah, and that's Ambassador Theater Group, who we work with a lot because of our Hudson Up Close tour, that interior tour. They own 2 Broadway theaters, and the Lyric, where Harry Potter is, and they just get it. They own over 40 in the world. They own 2 in Broadway, and they just from like the customer front-facing experience all the way to the actor experience. I have no other words to say than they just get it. They just understand people and how to make people feel comfortable, which when you're doing a Broadway show and there's so many things that are going into it and tensions are high, to have that as your base level as you walk in, and just the people maintaining that building as like go-to just enjoyable people doesn't always happen. And when it does, it sets a great tone. Okay. I love that.
Yeah. That was amazing. That was like the best part of working in that theater for me. I mean, John, who was like one of the theater, he works as
John
one
King.
of the head people.
Yeah.
Yes, John King.
I love John King. I just emailed him a couple days ago. I love John King. Oh,
yeah. He's incredible. And I would just go sit in his office and kiki with him every time.
So tell me, the apartment that's all the way at the top of the theater, did you ever get to go inside?
Yeah, so that top. Oh wait, there's an apartment. I thought you were talking about a dressing room, because
you gotta watch the videos from this week. Come on, what have you been doing all week? Like not just sitting watching videos of me every day, all day. The apartment, there's a 2-story apartment at the very top, and when I was building this tour, I was obsessed, and I was like, so I have to go in the apartment, and they were like, it's condemned, you can't go in. I was like, I know, but like, you'll let me in? And they were like, no, it's condemned. I was like, all right, well, we'll see. And then after 6 months of them being like, will you just stop asking? Yeah, we'll take you. And so John King was like, let's go. And so he like broke the seal, and we went all the way up to the roof of the building. And I have a selfie of me and John King just on a Broadway theater roof, because why not?
There's no one better.
There's no one better than John King. Crazy. Okay, so your involvement with Head Over Heels starts. I mean, I know they worked on it. I saw the first workshop at Chelsea Studios or at Pearl Studios like 7 years ago with some of the cast intact. So you come into it kind of late in the game, but I know some of the people that I saw 7 years ago ended up doing it. And so then what's the process like of building this, of changing this? I know it changed a lot. It changed drastically from when I saw it the first time. So when I saw it at the Hudson. And so what was it like to come in kind of midstream to all of that? And then what was the reception and the reaction to the show in general?
Yeah, it was, coming in late, but feeling like it wasn't even like I was coming in late. The way that they worked with us, and this is like Michael Mayer, Tom Kitt, Spencer Liff, the 3 of them set a tone immediately, like coming into the rehearsal space, that we were creating this thing together. So they wanted to highlight everybody in the best way possible. So coming in that way, I didn't feel like I was coming into a process that was already established. I felt like we were creating something together, and that's like the best way to do it, I think.
Yeah. Crazy.
So that it was amazing.
And then once you got into the Hudson, did it change a lot in previews, in tech, leading up to opening, or was it pretty set once you were at the Hudson?
Oh my God, it definitely changed. I remember walking in one day and Spencer saying, we've cut an entire number and we're adding a new number. And we were in the lobby. We were in a lobby in San Fran, and we added this number, we added this number. And I will never forget us like figuring out this number together and then having to do it later that night. I've never opened a new Broadway show before. So that was so crazy to me that like we were going to be, I'm a person that's like, I want to practice this 100 times.
Correct. And you're like, before the curtain goes up, can we like say to the audience, like, hey, just so you know, I like 20 minutes ago, I like learned these moves in the lobby. And they're like, no, you can't say that. And you're like, all right.
Yeah, it was unreal. And I mean, like, that was just, I mean, it was such a cool experience to be able to do that. And it was crazy, but stuff changed all the time.
Wow. Okay. And then you throw in the audience into the mix. And what was the audience reaction? Because the night I saw it, people, when at intermission, people were like, had changed their life and it was the best thing they'd ever seen. And then there were other people that were like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's Go-Go's music. And so what was your feeling back being the kind of vessel through which the show was presented? What was your feedback?
I think Head Over Heels was a show that if you didn't walk in kind of open-minded towards the whole experience, I think you were not going to like it. I think it was a show that you had to come in open-minded and you had to, I mean, immediately we're throwing like this old like English language at you, mixed with Go-Go's music, mixed with like crazy costumes and like LGBTQ community like backstory. It's just, I mean, it was just like the most out there musical. And I think if you got on board with it from the beginning, you were going to love it. And if you came in kind of closed-minded and you came in already like, okay, show me what you can do, then you're going to hate it. So I like to come into every theater experience with just an open mind, because you never know what they're going to do. And I had a great experience. I had great feedback from working on Head Over Heels. And I had so many people come to me and say that show changed their life in some type of way, which like, that is like the best thing to hear when you're putting on a show. Yeah. So many kids.
Yeah. Which always, it doesn't often happen that way. And especially if it has a short run. We get a lot of feedback because we do these tours. And so we're constantly talking to people and what did you like? What didn't you like? What are you excited to see? And because we've been doing these Hudson tours, we get even closer to people who have had experiences at the Hudson, a lot of times being Head Over Heels. And so we've had a couple guests, one that comes to mind who might even be watching this, Susan Hoffman, who saw your show 21 times. And it's when anyone ever says anything about Head Over Heels, I just think of her. And I'm like, I love that. And she loves it. And on the tour, the ghost light at the theater now, they took a lantern from your show and the ghost light is covered in a lantern from Head Over Heels as the permanent ghost light now at the Hudson. And so, and so it's for us on our tours, when we're giving these tours, it's the perfect segue. Yes, Susan says, I'm here. Hi, Susan. It's the perfect way for us to, Head Over Heels isn't a show that a million people saw. So it's not like, we'll definitely do the big section on Head Over Heels on the tour.
Right.
So it's like the perfect segue into Head Over Heels and Theater Memories and the Ghost Light all kind of put together. Susan says it's her profile photo. I'm obsessed with that. I love that. So it really struck a chord with people. Okay, so then it runs for like 40 seconds and then it closes.
It runs for 40 seconds.
Like maybe 41, but they were like, we're closing. So then what is that like? What is it like to be in Hamilton where every day you go in and there's no seats left? It's sold out every night and people are, you can, do whatever. People are obsessed. And then to do a show like Head Over Heels, which runs for 41 minutes and then closes.
Yeah, a bummer.
Yeah.
What a freaking bummer. It really sucked.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably no other way to describe it. You're just like, it was awful.
Yeah. We just like loved that show. I never came into that theater in a bad place, in a bad mood. I came into work every day and I was so excited to be there. Even if we had 20 people in the audience, which we did, but I was like so thrilled because the people that I worked with were like the best humans. I mean, we meet once a month and we just have like Head Over Heels parties because we love each other that much.
Which doesn't, if you know anything about theater, that doesn't always happen. And if you don't know that, we're here to tell you that doesn't always happen. So when it does, I love that. We are here. This is, I will put a banner at the bottom that says that does not always happen. I just had, I was out running, which is why I'm sunburned and welcome to my life. But I was out running with friends that I have from Singing in the Rain that we did 9 years ago. And you just look around, you're like, how did we first meet? Oh yeah, we were idiots for 8 times a week, tap dancing in rain. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's those shows that like sometimes you're just like you have the best time and they just don't do like they just didn't do well. It was a hard sell, but we had the best time, and that's what was the worst part about it closing. I mean, Hamilton is its own beast and incredible, but it was a really hard show to do 8 times a week, and Head Over Heels felt like a party every night.
Crazy.
So yeah, it was a bummer, but we still hang out to this day.
I love that. And you still have the poster, and that's all that matters. Still got it. Okay, so then we're going to open it to questions. People who are watching, I'm looking at you, Susan Hoffman or Teddy Toy or any of these people. Hi, Teddy. That are commenting. Hey, Tina. Hi, Rita. Oh, Laura. Any of you, if you have questions for Amber, this is your moment in life to vicariously through me ask her a question. So if you have a question, drop it in the comments while they think about their lives and figure all that out. So then this new other show comes into your life, this tiny, tiny show that not many people have heard of called Moulin Rouge. So then like, how does that happen in your life?
Yeah, Moulin Rouge was insane. So Head Over Heels closed. I didn't really go to my closing night party of Head Over Heels because I had an 8 a.m. audition for Moulin Rouge the next day. What? So Head Over Heels closed. I went and said bye to everyone, and then I went to bed because I had to be up to audition for Moulin Rouge the next day.
But also like 8 a.m. auditions, hashtag rude. Like why
rude?
Rude. Okay.
So I go and I realize I'm at this 8 a.m. call I'm at. There's like an 8, there's a 10, there's a 12, there's a 2. There's literally the times keep going, and there's like hundreds of girls coming in for this Moulin Rouge audition. And they were looking for one spot. How rude. They were looking for one girl, and this girl had to cover all of the girls in the ensemble, cover all of the Lady Marmalade girls, and cover Satine.
You know, and I thought, just so easy. Yeah, you were like, I mean, we can all do this, right? So it'll be any one of us. Like, what?
Yeah, like, how freaking rude. So anyways, I auditioned for Moulin Rouge, and it was like, I would say a month of like callbacks and workshops, and I had like acting workshops with the director. I had singing workshops with the music supervisor. We had so many dance callbacks. I mean, it was actually insane how many times I came in.
You mean you didn't just have to like take like a selfie video of you in Mexico and submit it and then book Broadway? That's so weird. No, they don't all work like that.
Okay. Yeah, I wish that process did work.
Can you imagine if they were like, just submit a selfie video of you lip syncing to a song from Moulin Rouge and you book, and you were like, all right.
All right.
Sure. See you there. Bye.
Oh my God. Yeah. The Moulin Rouge auditions were insane. And then my final audition, it was for the whole entire creative team, all the producers. I had to go in, I had to dance Bad Romance. I had to dance Roxanne. So I had to get a partner that I've never partnered with in my life. And we had to do all these lifts, which is crazy in itself.
It's a wonder that anyone books any job. When you listen, when people hear like, a selfie video aside, when you get into these, like, these are more of the common situations where it's 38,000 auditions and they're like, I know, but can you like touch your nose while standing on one? And you're like, what? When I'm not even going to do that in the show. Why do you care?
Right. Like, can you belt a high E while you're like, doing bad
and you were romance? Like, I don't remember the high E and firework. Like, what? Like, what do you mean? It's crazy. Yeah. Okay. And it's like a firing squad. I mean, the final moment of like 87 people in suits who are like, who just stare at you. You're like, are you guys, what's happening? Are you alive?
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Terrifying.
But it works out and you book it, and then it's less terrifying on the other side of it. Okay. So
and then it became more terrifying because it became more terrifying because then I had to then the work started. I had to learn all of the 10 tracks that I cover. I was like, and then Equity was like, actually, we're just going to limit it to 10 because if it was 11, they'd make me do 11. So I was once they cut the limit at 10, I was like, we are done. Bye.
Like, bye, guys. I'm off book. Finally,
Yeah.
you're like, who's calling out? I'm ready. And then Satine drops in from the ceiling on a swing above the heads of the audience at the El Hirschfeld, which is like, you know, just a normal, sensible entrance. Did you, for lack of a better phrase, did you like shit your corset the first time you did that?
100%. I mean, it is the most terrifying entrance to ever make, ever. It's terrible. You spend the whole show, so the whole opening number happens, and as the opening number is happening, I'm backstage running, doing cardio, because it's so cold. You have to like, I'm warming up backstage while the cast is doing the opening number.
Yeah.
So when Royals happens, it's like, all right, game time. They take you up this staircase, and then you walk across, and you can see the audience down there. And they set you on the swing, and they put your big feathers behind you. You gotta hold your core really tight.
Oh, God.
They strap you in. And then as soon as Royals is over, they remove the stage out, like the floor out from underneath you. And they slowly lower you down just a little bit so you can see the audience enough just to vomit.
Correct. Just to vomit over the heads of the people who paid $8,000 to be there.
Yes. Yeah. So as I'm like coming down, you hear the music. And when people start clapping, you can't hear the music.
Great.
So it's
perfect.
It's
my
like
favorite type of entrance.
Yes. Trying to hear, holding your core, and then like trying to belt in a corset,
right. The
sweating.
high E and from the audition. Yeah. Great.
It's stressful.
And
crazy. Yeah.
That's
and then
crazy.
You do a 3-minute dance after that. And then you're like, okay, the hard part goes over. Let's do the rest of the show
you're
now.
like, and I'm on solid ground again. We can keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a couple questions. Okay, so Sam Quinn, who I love. Hi, Sam. He says, as a current performer, how do you find motivation in quarantine to stay active and keep yourself creative? So then Moulin Rouge closes March 12th. You were kind of one of the first shows that was like, we're going, and then everyone else went at the same time. So now that you're not, I mean, I don't know your daily life now, but I'm assuming you don't start every day riding into your living room on a swing. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to go out on a limb here. I don't know, but let's assume you don't start the day in a corseted evening gown or whatever on a swing.
Right.
Maybe. So then how do you, I don't know your life. So then how do you find the motivation to like not show up to that theater and ride on a swing 8 times a week?
Yeah, it's really hard, and I really miss dancing a lot and singing and just like performing for people, obviously. So I found myself like taking a lot of classes online. I've found myself, oh God, don't even get me started. Okay, I've created a freaking TikTok, and I'm mad about this. I'm mad about it. But do you know what? I like to get on and like learn a TikTok dance or like do a duet singing with someone else. It's like that little bit of creativity that you're missing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like you spend it on the swing, and then everything else really without TikTok is all downhill from there, honestly.
Right.
I have found when I get off my swing, usually. So I will not do TikTok. I can't. I just started figuring out Insta story, and I have a person who helps with our social media, Erica, shout out to Erica. And she was like, yeah, you just kind of like talk. And I was like, well, every day I just like go to the post office. She was like, yeah, talk about that. And so that's me on Insta stories. Like, I'm going to the post office today. Hi guys. Our entire audience is like snoozing. Yeah. It's like really what they want is me riding the swing on the way to the post office. But for contractual reasons, we can't show that. So I can't even imagine wrapping my mind around TikTok. So congratulations. I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, thank you so much. No, I mean, I'm really finding a lot of ways to stay motivated. I mean, there's so many classes online now that you can take, and like definitely doing that and taking classes that I wouldn't normally take. Just because I'm in the comfort of my own space. So why not take a class that I'll look terrible doing? Do you know what I mean? So I can improve myself.
I'm sure you look horrible, and then put it on TikTok. You're like, these old things. Okay, so Tina Kravitz says, what role do you see yourself doing next? If, let's say, Moulin Rouge comes back, you finish out your contract, you are a star, and then what happens from there in a perfect world? Role? Yeah, is there a role that's like already been written that you're like, I would crush that? Or is it like, I don't know, an original musical that will come along and then I'll do that?
I would love, okay, first of all, if it was an original musical, I would love there to be a role that I can like sing, dance, and act my face off the entire time. Like I want like that well-rounded role. It comes every so often. There's like the Cassie, and then there's like the Satine. It comes every wave, but a role like that would be incredible. But if I could, I would freaking love to do Meg and Hercules. I think it would be the funnest role.
Really?
Yes, I love it. I love it.
I
think it'll be really cool. I'm excited to see it come to Broadway. So
did you see it when it was at the park? No, because you
didn't.
were probably in a show. I think they had your same schedule.
Was. Yeah,
I was at the dress rehearsal. It was crazy. It was like, it's epic, and any show in the park is epic. But yeah, it was crazy to see like Roger Bart, knowing he was the original voice, and now he's playing Hades. Yeah, the whole thing was crazy. I think they're still working on it. So okay, put it out into the universe. Yeah. I can't wait to see you in that. You're gonna be so good in that. And they'll like Meg will be like, what's her big song? I won't say I'm in love, but there'll be like a huge dance break and a fan kick and a swing. It's gonna be great. Yeah. I'm not choreographing it, but sure. Okay, do we have any other questions? Someone says, please be Meg. Great. Yes, TikTok. You're a TikTok star is what they're saying.
Oh my God. Not Teddy Toy Writing 6, because it's true. I would love I6 is another show that I would die.
Oh, you would kill in that. I have never thought of that. Yeah, you could be I saw it just before it shut down. Who would you be? You'd be the one who belts really high. That's I don't know.
Howard.
Sure.
Catherine Howard.
Yes. Yeah. Is that the one who's like in hot pink? No.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Has pink hair or something. I love that.
Yeah. The girl that plays her now is so incredible. That's definitely the first show I want to see when I come back.
Yeah, it was pretty
when
like
Broadway
right from
comes.
I know. See you in 17 years when it's reopened. There was one more question that I can't find. Okay, here. I think this will be a good final question, and then we'll wrap this up because we've taken all of your time. It must be so hard auditioning for a show while in a current show doing double duty. How did you handle that emotionally? So then let's tack onto that question, Caitlin Elizabeth. Nice work. We can even show you. There she is. So then how do you tack on how do you handle the processing of like being shut down, status of your job unknown? So tie it into like why we're here virtually and not in person. And then also tie us into like when you're doing 8 million things and the audience doesn't know you're doing 8 million things leading up to an 8 p.m. curtain of Head Over Heels.
Yeah. We love a good cry. No, I'm joking. I love a good cry 3 times a day. No. No, do you know what? During that time, I am a person just by nature. I try not to take myself too seriously, and I let things roll off my back because you can't control everything.
Right.
And when I was doing that process, I just thought like how lucky you are to be able to do these two things at the same time. And I just had to be kind to myself because I'm a human and I make mistakes. And there was times when I'd go into Hamilton at night and I'd completely blank on choreography because I was thinking of Head Over Heels choreography. And I just had to learn to laugh at myself because life's hard. Don't make it any harder on yourself.
This business is already crazy enough. And the audience, the blessing and the curse is they don't know what you've gone through, but they also don't know what you've gone through. So you can kind of tuck that away. You're a professional. I'm sure no one had any idea if you're like, I don't feel like I'm 100% there. No one's going to know. You're still probably crushing it. And that's the people always ask on tours, like, what goes through your head like 2 years into a run? And you're like, no, like what I'm going to have for lunch after this matinee. Like sometimes you're like, we're trying to be present, but you're like, sometimes you're like shaking your ice in your cup in the third row or texting. And I'm like, ma'am, stop texting. I'm trying to like do my job.
How about the first time I was on for Satine when I died, someone's phone went off and I was like, are you kidding me?
No, you can't. You rose back up and we're like, I'm sorry.
Looking by my shoulder like, are you kidding me?
Like, cough. Are you serious? Damn, people are rude.
It's just.
We have, this is your little, I guess, secret of sneak peek of what's coming next week. So that New Amsterdam Theater, they dealt with a lot of audience behavior not going so well. In the olden days, they dealt with not texting, of course, but other things. So for those who follow us along, follow on Tuesday. It's a hilarious story of like dealing with what we now deal with, which is people texting and answering phone calls because they're insane. That's crazy. Yeah, they always end up going off at the perfect awful time. You're like,
just at the best time.
You're like, no, literally dead up here. You have been awesome. Thank you so much for taking time off of TikTok to spend with us. I know you're very important on TikTok. We appreciate it so much. Good luck with the rest of this, however long it lasts. Is there a world where we should, social media, if people want to follow and know more about you, obviously other than TikTok, Instagram or any of that, where should they find you?
Yes, my Instagram is just Amber Art-elino. And then my TikTok is Amber Art-elino 93. And then my Twitter is Art-elino Amber. So just Amber Art-elino. Just type it in. If you just have any questions or you just want to be friends, let's just give me a follow.
I love that story. Okay. Great. Yeah, follow her. She's incredible. If you haven't gathered, she does all the things and she's very talented. So you should be so lucky to see her as Satine or in any of the future shows, Meg or whatever you end up doing after all of this. Good luck with the rest of quarantine. I'm going to say some final thoughts to the humans out there, but we'll let you go and get back to TikTok.
Thank you. Yes. Over and out.
Goodbye. Okay. Bye. Okay, so you guys are awesome. Thanks for being our first audience. Caitlin, Elizabeth, you are famous. And now we can't get rid of your question. There we are. Nailed it. Thanks for being an incredible audience on our first one ever. I'm not the most technologically advanced human, but so far so good. One down, 40 more to go. See you in March 2021. For those who are interested, our gift shop that we mentioned right now, because we're not in person and there. You can head over to our website, has all of our custom merch. We've been designing all kinds of new custom stuff now that I have all the time in the world in quarantine to do things like that. So you can follow us on Instagram. And if you're looking for more of our series, the Virtual Broadway Tour Series will be on our Instagram. It'll be on our Facebook. A recap of every week if you are obsessed and you just want to watch it all again. That'll all be every Sunday. We'll have a full recap. This whole interview that we'll do on Saturday night will also be there. And I think I realized beyond everything, why do we call this the S.N.O.B series? Saturday Night on Broadway is a thing that it's a special feeling to perform in a Broadway theater on Saturday night. Feels so iconic and special. And so S.N.O.B or Saturday Night on Broadway is a big tradition in the theater community. And it's a very exciting night. So that is why we have called our series the S.N.O.B series. You guys are awesome. Belasco is sleeping. Maybe you can see him behind me. He's sleeping. He, I'm sure, says hi. You guys have all been awesome. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next week for the next one. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.